Okay, everybody, a very short video today here for the September 15th. This is a Friday. Just wanted to kind of finish up Wilson's presidency here because yesterday as we go back a little bit into discussing Wilson's presidency, you have all these, events take place with Woodrow Wilson in terms of how he continues this progressive reform that we've seen out of Roosevelt and Taft. Now, Wilson is a Democrat, so naturally his political party initiates a lot of those progressive reforms. It wasn't just about a natural willingness to do this because it was the right thing to do. Wilson was a Democrat. In their platform, that was kind of what they mentioned, what they stood for. Now, lowering tariffs, passing the 16th Amendment instituted income tax. So you're making, goods in America a lot easier, a lot more competitive. At the same time, the 16th Amendment institutes a federal income tax only on the wealthy. So, middle classes and lower class citizens are really getting a huge benefit from, especially these two areas, the tariffs and also with the 16th Amendment, where the income tax is put on to richer Americans. We also see the attack of trusts, where activities, which spelled out activities businesses could not do. We're talking about competition buying, price cutting, monopolizing. Companies, can't merge together, and thus in their region they form a monopoly. It would be like as if, Home Depot and Lowe's merged together. I don't think there'd be much of an issue with that because we have other smaller hardware stores. However, for those big appliances, if they merged, then the federal government might have something to say nationwide because now those companies would be a monopoly. Another local example of this monopolization will be the merger, or at least the attempted merger, of Pinnacle Health in Harrisburg and Milton Hershey Medical Center in Hershey. The federal government denied those two companies their merger because they came to the conclusion that if they were a singular company, they would have been a monopoly in this area and thus could have raised prices and lowered wages for their employees, and it just really would have given the area no other choice but to go to them. So it was one of those things that turned down, and it was just really a major way that the Clayton Antitrust Act prevented these businesses from these illegal actions. Unions are legalized, and also the Federal Trade Commission is an organization that helps to set up and prevent unfair business practices to keep businesses in check. Now, if we continue onward here, Wilson also sets up the Federal Reserve, which promotes competition for the banking industry. We divide the banks in the U.S. into 12 districts, each with its own reserve bank, and those reserve banks can independently act upon their own banks. Every bank that you see today in our country, even if you drive from your house to Lake Colonial Park, you probably pass 6 or 7 banks. Each one of those banks has its own headquarters, and those headquarters are going to be responsible for making sure that they submit, or at least keep up to date with the Federal Reserve, how much money they're taking in, how many loans they're giving, so the Federal Reserve can be on task with that. Now, the purpose of these reserve banks is that they're bankers' banks. All right. So, with these bankers' banks, the United States government is going to help provide, money to banks just so they don't fail. All right. And the whole part of bank failures is to ensure that they can cover every cent that their depositors have in that bank. So, if I have a couple $1,000s of money, of my own money in a bank, the bank's going to be able to cover not only my money, but also the money of most of its depositors. Ideally, they won't be able to do that, but at the end of the day, we're looking at the United States with the Federal Reserve that can help those banks who are having trouble keeping up with their depositors' money, especially if I'm a person who's trying to take their money out of that bank because I want to move it somewhere else, or I just don't like a certain plan, I don't like the fees I'm getting charged at a certain bank. So, for whatever reason, the Federal Reserve is to prevent bank failures. And the less the banks fail, the better off we are as a country because our money is safe. Now, after this slide, we kind of went on to did a book reading. If you want to look at page 401, you can pause this and read the section of Wilson Wins a Second Term. And the question I asked that we got on our note sheet is, what was Wilson endorsing besides progressive reforms? So, the idea here is that Woodrow Wilson, now that the progressive movement is, as you see at the heading here, is about to end. People's need for progressive change is kind of being fulfilled. All the changes are being made that people want to see. And not all the needs are covered, but a lot of them are being made. However, Wilson, towards the end of his first administration, campaigns for the idea that he kept us out of World War I. So this war is currently going on in Europe. Wilson doesn't want to get Americans involved, and he, highlights that fact. He brags about it in his campaign, saying that if you put me on as president, I will keep us out of the war as long as we want to stay out of the war. So I will make sure that's the case. All right, so that's pretty much the entire question. So it kind of does a good job leading into our next unit, which is World War I, which will begin probably in a couple weeks. Now, quiz topics. We got information for a quiz today. If you want to, snapshot these or screenshot these, that's fine. However, these topics are on my Canvas page. So if I escape out of here and I go to the Canvas page and I click on the progressives of Teddy Roosevelt, that picture there of him, and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that I have all the quiz topics here. Now, each of these topics refers to a one multiple choice question. Now, 10 multiple choice questions, that is it. You take the quiz, push a couple buttons, submit. Now, I will warn you, when you take this quiz, please make sure you are ready to take it. If you just want to take it to get out of the way, and then you realize, oh, I didn't know the outcome of the election in 1912. You can't stop the quiz and then come back and finish it. You must do it at that one time. When you close that window, that will submit your score. So if you only have 4 questions done, you will get a 4 out of 10 or an 8 out of 20 if I make it 2 points per question. So make sure you complete the entire quiz. You can use information on the quiz that we had in class. I don't recommend it because, it's something that you need to learn how to, provide your information for. But if you know the material, awesome. If you need help with something, you want to have it with you for the quiz, I can't stop you because I'm not going to be looking over your shoulder while you're taking this quiz. So I'm going to do it with the honor system here to make sure that you are doing everything you can to take the quiz without much help in terms of materials and resources at your disposal during the quiz. All right. So the quiz is up. It is due 9/21, September 21st. This is an in-service day for you. It will be due at 11:59 p.m. Next week we'll pick up with the immigrant experience. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.